Donald Trump is officially declaring war on Republicans. Yes, on, I guess, what is still considered his own Republican Party. Donald Trump put out a statement yesterday going after many Republicans, but in particular, Mitch McConnell. Take a listen to this. Donald Trump putting out a statement through the Save America PAC, which is a pro-Trump PAC. Trump can't tweet now, so he's putting it out through the PAC. Let's go through it and look at just the double speak that we see here. All right, let's get started. The Republican Party can never again be respected or strong with political, quote, leaders like Mitch McConnell at its helm. McConnell's dedication to business as usual, status quo policies, together with his lack of political insight, wisdom, skill, and personality, has rapidly driven him from majority leader to minority leader, and it will only get worse. So Trump here putting the blame of Republicans losing the Senate on everybody but himself. This is common. Trump does this all the time, blame other people. The reality is that Trump's failures, including his failure on COVID, are a big part of not only why he lost the White House, but why Republicans lost the Senate. So Trump blaming other people, he should be looking at himself. Trump going on. The Democrats and Chuck Schumer play McConnell like a fiddle. They've never had it so good and they want to keep it that way. We know our America First agenda is a winner, not McConnell's Beltway First agenda or Biden's America Last. In 2020, I received the most votes of any sitting president in history, almost 75 million. Now, remember, he lost by millions of votes. The real story is Biden got more votes than anybody ever. Trump goes on. Every incumbent House Republican won for the first time in decades, and we flipped 15 seats, almost costing Nancy Pelosi her job. Republicans won majorities in at least 59 of the 98 partisan legislative chambers. And the Democrats failed to flip a single legislative chamber from red to blue. And in Mitch's Senate over the last two election cycles, I single-handedly saved at least 12 Senate seats. That's delusions of grandeur. More than 8 in the 2020 cycle alone. And then came the Georgia disaster, where we should have won both U.S. Senate seats, but McConnell matched the Democrat offer of $2,000 stimulus checks with $600. How does that work? It became the Democrats' principal advertisement, and a big winner for them it was. Trump ignores that neither David Perdue nor Kelly Loeffler, the two Georgia incumbent Republicans who lost, were loudly out there talking about $2,000. Understand that as well. So putting it on McConnell from another state when it doesn't really bear any resemblance to what actually took place there is very weird. Trump then goes on. McConnell then put himself, one of the most unpopular politicians in the U.S., into the advertisements. Many Republicans in Georgia voted Democrat or just didn't vote because of their anguish at their inept Governor Brian Kemp, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and the Republican Party for not doing its job on election integrity during the 2020 presidential race. This appears to be totally wrong. Trump is saying the reason Georgia incumbent Republicans, Perdue and Loeffler, lost is that Georgia Republican officials didn't go with everything Trump wanted to try to steal the election from Joe Biden. The truth is, many Georgia Republicans opted out because they were disgusted at Trump trying to steal the election. And they didn't want to reward Loeffler and Perdue by voting for them, given their alignment with Donald Trump. Trump continues. It was a complete election disaster in Georgia and certain other swing states. McConnell did nothing and will never do what needs to be done in order to secure a fair and just electoral system into the future. He doesn't have what it takes, never did, and never will. Now, this is, of course, sour grapes. I think McConnell's disgusting, but McConnell has been an insanely effective operator for the Republican Party, holding off on the Senate, the Supreme Court seat that should have been filled by Merrick Garland with Barack Obama's selection, held it open for Trump to pick somebody, got hundreds of conservative judges approved. Like, I think McConnell's disgusting, but to say he's been ineffective is wrong. And Trump, this is just now sour grapes. Trump going on. My only regret is that McConnell begged for my strong support and endorsement before the great people of Kentucky in the 2020 election, and I gave it to him. He went from 1 point down to 20 points up and won. How quickly he forgets. Without my endorsement, McConnell would have lost and lost badly. Now his numbers are lower than ever before. He is destroying the Republican side of the Senate and in so doing, seriously hurting our country. Likewise, McConnell has no credibility on China because of his family's substantial Chinese business holdings. He does nothing on this tremendous economic and military threat. Funny how Trump didn't care about that when he was working with McConnell and had McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, as his Secretary of Transportation. Mitch is a dour, sullen, and unsmiling political hack. And if Republican senators are going to stay with him, they will not win again. He will never do what needs to be done or what is right for our country. Where necessary and appropriate, I will back primary rivals who espouse making America great again and our policy of America first. We want brilliant, strong, thoughtful, and compassionate leadership. Prior to the pandemic, we produced the greatest economy. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Trump goes on with some stuff that is just his normal bragging. This is very interesting. First of all, I think that it's important to understand that at a big picture level, Trump right now still represents the majority of the Republican electorate. 64% of the Republican electorate willing to leave the party if Trump starts his own party. 89% of the Republican electorate wants Trump to stay significantly involved in politics. That being said, I have argued that a split in the Republican Party is good for the left if the left is ready to take advantage of it. The risk, of course, is if it goes neocon versus QAnon, right? Standard Republicans and then the Trump crazies, if they split, if it's QAnon versus neocon, if QAnon wins, if it grows and wins, it would be really bad for the United States and the world. That's the risk. I don't believe that that's likely to happen, but it remains to be seen. As far as McConnell goes, if Trump's going to try to primary Republicans, I think that big picture, that's also good for Democrats and for the left. I don't think McConnell really cares about this. McConnell, 6 years from now, when Mitch McConnell's 84 and he's running maybe for re-election and Trump is 80, I don't know that this internal challenge or threat from Trump is going to really be that big of a deal. But that's the latest for now in Donald Trump appearing to launch a civil war on his own Republican Party. Very, very interesting. And we'll have more coverage of this on our Instagram page. You can follow us on Instagram at David Pakman Show. We'll be back right after this. If you are anything like me, you probably aren't thrilled with the idea of going into a doctor's office right now. And thankfully, there's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. It's a service called SteadyMD. They're one of our sponsors. You take a quiz, you get matched with a licensed primary care physician who understands your health needs. You have a 1-hour video call with your new doctor. You establish a meaningful relationship with them. And after that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, or video chat. This is not a random doctor on call. Each doctor at SteadyMD has a limited number of patients, so they actually have time to listen to you. You get the personal attention that you deserve. They can do almost everything an in-person doctor can do: perform medical evaluations, talk to you about health concerns, send prescriptions to your home or local pharmacy, and anything they can't do online, they'll quickly set you up with an in-person provider to do, things like blood tests, as an example. You don't need insurance. It's only $99 a month with no other fees or copays. There are so many practical advantages to using SteadyMD for primary care, and it's also so much more affordable. Go to steadymd.com/Pakman to take the free quiz, see which doctor is right for you. I took their quiz. They matched me with a doctor who specializes in my particular health needs and situation. The doctor they gave me is a really perfect fit for me and my medical needs. There's no risk, no commitment to get started. Just click the link right underneath this video.